Today I'm going to live out one of my childhood dreams by building a tree fort at my dream property. I'm going to build it right up here. This is going to be incredible. Hi, my name's Jonathan and we bought vacant waterfront land and are slowly shaping it into our dream getaway. We're well on our way to making this place really enjoyable with a glamping tent, a wood-burning sauna and hot tub, and other amenities. We're sharing our journey with you in hopes that it inspires you to live out your dreams too. This week, I'm building a tree fort. So we lost this tree due to unforeseen circumstances. We were getting some trees limbed, like the deadwood limbed off it a little while ago. The arborist was up another tree and he looked down and he saw that this tree looked like it was in rough shape. From the bottom it looked fine, but from the top you could see that looking down, almost all the branches had some sort of disease at one point and they were just filling with water and getting rotten. So we made the decision to cut this tree down, but we did decide to leave maybe like 13 or so feet of it to build a tree fort. I really don't like cutting trees down that don't need to be cut down, but with this comes an opportunity, and that's to build this tree fort. A friend of mine who's an engineer was over and he sketched this design for the tree fort based on the tree. So I'm just gonna base my design off of that because he's a lot smarter than me. So I drew these plans up on SketchUp. I really like to use SketchUp for every project, even little kind of haphazard tree fort projects. And I just like to draw it out so I can like plan out the different aspects of it. Planning it out beforehand really helps you avoid issues that you might get into on the actual build day. And because I'm like trailering in all this wood, this helps me plan to like get the right amount of wood and not get way too many and then have to trailer it back. I can just like shove the last few pieces in the back of my car. This fort is going to be 8 foot by 8 foot, which means that the wood will fit nicely in a utility trailer. And I'm at a big box store picking the wood myself this time. The selection isn't great. Like, these 4x4s have fungus growing on them. I'm not sure if they're really expecting to sell these. A friend also gave me this aluminum ladder, and I've never built stairs or a ladder or anything like that, so I'm gonna try to use this as the way to get up to the tree fort. I might put some wooden sides on it to make it look nice, but I figured a purpose-built ladder might be the way to go.
Whoa! That was the biggest one we've made yet.
I'm making this tree fort for my son and his friends and his cousins. At least that's what I'm telling myself. The cousins have been asking me to make a fort for a little while, and they've been pretty resourceful on their own. I love this so much. This is exactly what I did growing up. Just finding random sticks and then leaning them up against trees and putting them up in trees and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see that. What is Epa going to build today?
The house.
A tree house. Which tree?
No one B.
That one? Yeah, I was going to originally. That one over there. But I think I'm going to do this one behind you.
Yeah, you and me are going to go on an adventure. We're going to go to a park. And we're going to see a mine. And we're going to go to a beach. Yeah.
And Epa's going to stay here and build a tree house. So I've got kind of a long weekend here. I've got 3 days. I'm coming here Friday. Came here last night, slept in the tent. Gonna try to hammer this out in 3 days. It should work, we'll see. Things always take longer than I expect, and talking to a camera definitely makes it take longer, so I'm just gonna get to work. Nice panoramic view. I feel like this ladder is a bit bouncy, so I might use something else, but it'll do for now. It's pretty high. My heart's pounding already. This little tree was unfortunately a casualty of the big tree branches coming down on it. lost a lot of its branches and it's kind of in the way, so it's gonna come down today. So my friend who drew up these plans said I should use this union and just like cut it for the main beam here. It's just kind of a natural big part of the tree, and it also lines up nicely below for a brace, just the way the union lines up. So I'm gonna try to cut this with a saw and cut it about 5 inches wide and then like 7.5 inches tall for the beam, and then I'll cut the top off after that. And then everything's gonna sit on that. The tree's dead now, right? Since we cut it off, so there's gonna be no more life to this thing. And I wanna keep water from coming in from the top and rotting it out from the top, so I'm gonna cap it with something. I've got some leftover roof underlayment from the sauna build, and it just adheres on, and I'm gonna like kind of cap it with that, and then we'll drop the beam in place, and I think that will keep it dry. The weird thing about doing stuff like this is that you never really know if I'm doing it right. Like, I tried to find information on building a tree on a stump like this. There's not a lot of information out there. Should I be just painting it instead? Should I not do this at all and let it breathe? Those who worry about doing it perfectly don't do it at all. That's my experience. So I'm just gonna glue this beam together, making a triple beam here. This is also a terrible caulking gun. I'll link to my favorite gun down below. This is just one I had here. It's important that you use galvanized nails instead of just these dull nails when you're framing with pressure treated. So galvanized or stainless or deck screws that are rated for pressure treated. Don't just use regular screws, because the pressure treated stuff might eat away at the screws and then they'll fail. So now you know. Do you want to hold this and I'll try it?
I feel more stressed doing the video.
Which side should be down? Doesn't matter. Oh, it keeps getting stuck on. I call this the thigh lifter 7000. Oh baby, you know what's getting stuck on? The adhesive of this stuff. That was a little bit stressful, but it worked. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for holding the camera. I'm using mini ties, so like for landscaping and stuff, for the supports, only because they're really cheap. And I'm gonna drill a hole in here, and that's gonna go up into the main support beam. So I goofed a little. It's level this way, but I didn't even check this way. As you can see, it's not level. Make it level. It's gotta go up, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch. It's a lot better. It's not perfect. That's enough for now. I'm gonna resume this in the morning. We'll get the frame up and get going from there. For now, I'm just gonna go enjoy a little sauna with my family.
This is where the tree house is. It's really close to the kitchenette, but it might be fun. Have it like near the eating area and the kitchenette. Little tree fort. I really take over this area. I'm building stuff. I think what I love about this is like, it's just like endless projects you can do, endless, you know, things you can build. It's kind of like a blank slate and it's my own space, so it's really up to us. There's nobody really setting the rules other than like building permit stuff, but I don't know if that's a gray area with tree forts. It's not really on the ground. It's yeah, it's part of the foliage. I don't think it counts. There's a couple loons out here.
This cereal is such a classic camping cereal for me. We definitely had cereal like this as a kid. I guess we also use the cereal to feed the chipmunks around here.
It's like every kid's dream. Just unlimited hardware. Do you want to hold them in your hand? Here you go. You can play with that. What else? This one.
So I've been using these generators for all these off-grid projects. We don't have any power here at the lake yet. So I had one of these generators already, but it's a little bit underpowered for the big saw. So you can connect two in parallel. The issue with that is you basically have two generators you have to maintain and hope they start every time you start them up. And it's like more to lug around, and it's kind of a pain hooking these up. The other downside of having two is you got to start two, and it's kind of always a gamble whether they're going to start. Oh, we got one. I'm just kidding. They are loud though. They just go all day when we're working on projects like this. Whether we're cutting or not, generators are running. And it's usually nice and peaceful out here. I got this AC 240p power station from Bluetti. And my goal with this is to completely replace the two generators that I currently am using. This power station puts out 2,400 watts and it's got an 1,843 watt hour battery. So it's got a lot of capacity, but it also puts out a lot of power. It's also IP65 rated, so it's water and dust resistant, which is kind of perfect for a generator replacement. It's so quiet. I think that's my favorite part. It's so quiet. So a saw like this is only 15 amps, and if you do the math on that, 110 times 15 amps is 1650 watts. But when these start up, they have like a big inrush current, and that overpowers my generator and trips it. That's why I need to put two in parallel. So I wanted a battery solution that'll handle the saw without needing to put it in parallel. So I'm gonna just test out how much current that is. So I rigged up a little jumper here so that I can test the current. That's at least double the wattage for this saw. This battery is rated at 2400 watts, which is more than enough for the saw when it's running. But since the saw is like 3600 watts startup, it does have like an overload power, so it'll do 3600 watts for like a fraction of a second. It does have like a high lift mode, so you can set it to be 3600 watts, but that's more for like heaters and induction sort of appliances. But because this is a motor with just like these big surges and then it settles right back down, it just operates fine in like the standard mode and it powers it no problem, which is really great. I really like things with nice buttons, and this has just like this nice physical clicky push button. The cable it comes with, I think, charges it in about 3.5 hours, which is plenty for me. I don't really feel the need to charge it quicker than that. It also has solar cables, and it can take up to 1200 watts of solar, which is a lot. That would charge the battery in a few hours, but I'm just gonna plug in these panels I've already got, and they're 200 watts total, so the output will be like less than that, maybe like 150 watts. So my plan for today is, because I'm using the battery intermittently, even though it's like a high wattage every time I use it, like 1800 watts, if that was continuous, the battery would drain pretty quick, but I'm only using it for cuts here and there. I'm gonna see if solar will regenerate the battery. I did like a rough calculation. If I'm cutting for, let's say, 10 seconds for a cut, I need roughly 60 seconds or like a minute and a half of solar to recover that with only 150 watts. So I'm hoping that I can basically keep this battery at the level I started out today, which is about 86%, just with these two solar panels.
So I'm gonna build a box frame on the ground here, and then we're gonna bring it up to the treehouse. I'm realizing it's kind of tricky because this thing has to be level. Otherwise you're gonna get like this warp out of it. So I've got to kind of makeshift a level surface, and I'm just using a laser over there. I've got help today.
Hey. So we're gonna crush this because I don't think I can lift that myself. We're gonna hang these joist hangers before we put up the joists because it'll be easier to do so on the ground versus up in the tree. And we made a template by screwing these little blocks on the ends of one of the joists to get the right height for the hangers. I've done this before. I like putting up the hangers in situ, but this will be a good solution since it's gonna be up in a tree. We squared it up temporarily and screwed down some strapping to make it square while we brought up the tree. Again, it's just easier to do this stuff on the ground. I'm not sure how we'd square it up once it's up there, so we'll just do it out here. Bringing it up there was a lot of work, and there was a lot of back and forth discussing the best way to do this. And in the end, Nate just muscled it up, mostly by himself, and it was pretty scary and not ideal, but the outcome was good, so I guess it's okay.
Oh.
Good.
That.
Cut. Yeah, I'm gonna drill. It's a Canadian Tire set. And it's fine and everything, but it doesn't cut very well. I would totally suggest buying a different one. The problem is it comes with these little short bits, which is usually perfect. When you're cutting at an angle, the short bit doesn't actually hit. So I just used a regular drill bit, kind of a little hack. And then the big bit touches before the side hits, which is perfect. Might not be the right chisel for this, but it's what I have. So what I did was I used a laser distance measurer because it has like a angle measurement on it, and I just like eyeballed it at 45 from where I wanted it, and then that got me the length for these to cut, and it seemed to fit well. But I did a dumb thing and I lined it up so that the lag screw would go into the end grain of these 4x4s, and it's kind of a dumb move. I should have thought that through, because the end grain just stripped as soon as I started tightening down the lag bolt. It just pulled out. So I just moved it over a little bit and I put it into the main ridge beam there, or rim joist, or whatever you call that. What? It's like I'm 10 inches short. I bet I am. One step forward, 2 steps back. Takes a long time. And you think, oh yeah, I'll get like a lot of this done today. And then you run into things like that. Or just squaring things up. Squaring things up takes a long time. Didn't get that far, but it is getting there. So I charged my drone and I've done some other stuff with this. I've been using it to make cuts. And not only did I not lose anything, but I added a few percent, like 7% to the battery. Net positive after a day of using this thing. I was really hoping to get farther on this, but here we are. At least today it will be just finishing up the support braces and putting up the joists and floor on, so it should be a fun day. Do you hear that? Someone's got a seaplane or a lake plane. I love that. That's the life. And they're just flying in and landing at your little cottage, or, well, probably a big cottage, but pretty cool. A trick I discovered for drilling holes like plumb or square is just to use a little speed square and just line it up with the drill bit on both sides and just occasionally put it back and forth as you're drilling it in, and it works really well. Putting up these braces has been pretty time consuming, but it's also the most important part of this, so I'm not going to cut any corners here. I'm just going to take my time and do it right. Gotta say, removing these staples and tags from the lumper is probably one of the most annoying things. Do people just build with these? Do you just like leave these in your builds, or do you take them out? So I designed this so I don't really have to do that many cuts. These should all be 8 foot, but it's right on the money. It's worth measuring the boards. Depending on where you get them, or when you get them, or what you get, sometimes they're slightly different. They're all exactly 8 feet. Time to install them. These are the things I do to show you guys what I'm doing. Let's hope it doesn't fall. It's a long way down. This is how I'm getting the boards up. I'm just perching them on this little step. I'm gonna climb up, and then I bring 2 boards up at a time. Everything with building a tree fort is a little trickier because you have to bring everything up a ladder. And I've left tools below countless times, and my legs are pretty cooked from just going up and down all day long. last opportunity to make sure it's square. Once the decking goes on, things are pretty locked down, so I've got to make sure it's good now. And it's within 1/4 of an inch, so I'm happy with that. This is probably the most privileged construction hack there is, but flying a drone directly above you is a great way to cool off on a hot day. I did one more thing here. I ended up putting a couple lag bolts into the trunk to secure the middle of the beam because that wasn't secured yet. So I did that. They're just kind of in on angles, and then I'm going to toe-nail each of these to that beam, just so it's toe-nailed at the bottom, and then it's got joist hangers on the ends, and then there's going to be deck boards on top. So, onto decking. Gonna take a little break though first. I learned this lesson a long time ago, that it's important to take lots of breaks, especially when you're doing construction and stuff. It's easy to get carried away and to do like maybe too much before you get really thirsty or tired. If you're not taking breaks, then you're forgetting to drink and stuff. But also it helps you kind of just like take a minute and figure out where you're at with your project and figure out the next best move instead of cutting a corner. It really does kind of reset you for the next step of the project. So taking a little break, having a little sun brew, it's pretty good. I am dripping with sweat. You know what's even better than a drone fan? Swim in the lake. Up. Go. Most of our time here is spent swimming and enjoying the lake and the sauna and hot tub and stuff like that. But I find building something very fulfilling, and I miss that when I'm just, not doing anything at the lake and relaxing. But then when I'm building and I hear them having fun swimming, I also kind of get envious of that. So there's kind of a balance. It's okay to work on projects, but it's good to take breaks and go for swims too. After a much needed swim, I got started on the decking. I'm not going to be able to finish this today. I knew it was a little ambitious to get this project done in a long weekend. We did bring the deck boards up just to try it out, and this certainly needs a railing before anyone spends any time up here. You need to sit down, okay? There's no fence yet. You have no fear. It's a little bit scary. Wow, it feels so much more stable. It's just the board sitting here.
Do you like it up here? Are we so tall?
Down.
You want to go down?
Not quite done, but come back and finish it another day. What is it? What's on the cover? What is that?
No.
Treehouse. Old school. What kind of treehouse do you want?
No one.
You want that one? Oh. Follow along. Next week I'm going to be coming back and finishing this thing up and maybe camping up here. Consider subscribing.